Welcome to the Cariad Corner. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is my latest video and this is basically going to be me going through all the books that I've bought recently whilst I've been out and about. Here's just some of the ones that I've bought recently. So to kick this off, we've got First Time Caller and Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. These are the Works Special Edition copies of the book, so they've got these really nice sprayed edges, and here is the blurb on one. I believe this one is about radio show hosts, so here you go, here's the nice sprayed edge. And now Back to You. This also has a really nice sprayed edge, so they've done and they match each other. So this one says, for years the two have clashed like thunder and lightning until they've paired up against their will to cover the snowstorm of the century. So I think it's kind of like an enemies to lovers-esque thing in both of them, which I quite like. So yeah, this will be fun, I think. So next we have Rumours and Whiskey by Victoria Wilder. This is a special edition from the Works. Here's the blurb if you want a quick read, but basically it sounds like it's a emotional suspense romance with secrets and all sorts of stuff like that thrown in, so it sounds interesting. Here are the sprayed edges, and yeah, I like the cover, I like the sprayed edges, and I think £5 for a physical paperback is actually a really good deal. I don't think this one is on Kindle Unlimited, so £5 is a good bargain for a paperback. I think normally this would go for £10. Next we have the Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Laurie Gilmore. This is also an exclusive Works Special Edition paperback, which is £5. Here's the blurb if you want to pause to read, but basically it's your typical Laurie Gilmore cozy small town romance. And yeah, I love how it's set in a flower shop. I really love flowers and gardening. Here's the lovely sprayed edges, and it just really caught my eye. And again, £5 for this, I don't think that's a bad deal at all. This one also isn't on Kindle Unlimited, so yeah, if you want to pick it up, I suggest the Works, but it's also 99p at the moment on Kindle. So our next book is Fever Dream by Elsie Silver. I personally haven't read any Elsie Silver books before, but I know a lot of them are on Kindle Unlimited. When I bought this wasn't on Kindle Unlimited, but I believe they've now put it on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the blurb if you want to have a quick read, but basically this is a cowboy kind of romance. I believe he enters a competition to try and save his farm, and yeah, romance kind of blooms from there, so I'm excited to get into this one, and this was £5 from the Works. Here we have Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed, which is an ice hockey romance, and also we have Designs on You by Jackie Burton. So Heated Rivalry has recently had an Amazon TV show made from it, but it's ice hockey romance between two guys, which sounds really interesting. I've not read the show, but it's on my list. And Designs on You, I think this is a kind of architect that designs a house for someone and the romance blooms from there. I picked this up in the Works. I think it was £2 because it was reduced, which I think is a really great deal. Yeah, I just love the Works. The Heated Rivalry one I got in Tesco's, and that was on the 2 for £9.50, something like that. It was on the 2 for whatever it is deal at Tesco's, which is a good bargain. And yeah, I'm excited to read these. I mean, £2 for a book, you can't really go wrong, and neither can you with £4.75, so great. Next is Hit or Miss by Elle Kelk, and this is from the Works, and Polo Fever by Catherine Riley, which is also from the Works. These both have really nice sprayed edges. As you can see, here's the Hit or Miss one. Here's the blurb if you would like to take a read, but my understanding is this is also a kind of college sports romance. He's a sports player, she's interested, and the romance goes from there. This was £5 from the Works, which again, for a paperback in the UK is a great bargain. Here's Polo Fever. I just love these sprayed edges with the flowers and the pink and the green. It's just really, really kind of my aesthetic. And here's the blurb. If you want to have a read, feel free to pause it, but this is basically another sports romance, but it's with polo. And this was also £5 from the works. I think sports romances seem to be really in at the moment, or unless I've just been missing something. Now this book I'm really excited about. This is Rotten Heart by Kat Dunn. I've not read any of Kat Dunn's books before, but I've heard really good things, and this is a lovely sprayed edge signed edition that I picked up in an independent bookshop in the Cotswolds. And it's basically a retelling of Hamlet, but it's sapphic, so a sapphic retelling of Hamlet, and just love the cover, and you know, these sprayed edges are so gorgeous. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how Kat Dunn has kind of changed the story to be sapphic, and just how the retelling goes and whether it has the same effect. And yeah, I'm super excited to read this one. I think this will be next. So next we have a set of Ali Hazelwood books from the works. So this was £15 for all four, which I think is a really good deal. I think most of these books, if you buy just the digital copies on Amazon, are £4 or £5, maybe £6. So to get four for 15 is a really good deal. And I basically wanted to pick these up because I've not read any of Ali Hazelwood's books before, but I know The Love Hypothesis is coming out as a Amazon film, I think in September, and everyone seems to be really excited, so I wanted to give these a try. So I think I'll start with The Love Hypothesis and then work my way through the others that are included in the set. So next we have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. This is the US copy of the book, and you can get the UK copy, but I just really love the artwork on this. Here's the blurb if you want to pause it and have a quick read. But basically this seems like a kind of gothic romance. I'm not entirely sure if it's sapphic. I think from reading the blurb that it is sapphic, which I didn't realise at the time, not that that's an issue, but I read it again and I thought, oh, I think maybe this is sapphic. But yeah, I just loved the artwork, and I know they say don't judge a book by its cover, but this is what really drew me to pick up this book. And I bought this in the Spicy Librarian, so it's nice to, there's me testing the floppiness of the book. It's nice to support a independent bookshop, and it was nice that it was the US cover because I really did not like the UK cover, so I wanted to pick this one up, and yeah, I just love the artwork. Now we have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I've not read this before, and everyone seems to be saying that it's an absolutely incredible book, and I love anything kind of romantasy, fantasy, so I think this will be right up my street. Here's the blurb. Feel free to pause and take a read if you want, but you probably might already know what it's about, and I think from what I've heard and what I've read, it's to do with a knight. And yeah, here are the sprayed edges. They're just so pretty, and I think the parts of the sprayed edges have meaning in the book. I think one of them is a gargoyle that talks in the book, so that's really cool. I think this might be one that I have to read, and this is from the works actually, I should have said. £5 again. Next we have more sports romance. So these are both hockey, Face Off and Power Play. So these are numbers 1 and 2 in the, I think it's DC Stars series by Chelsea Curto. I think these are both on Kindle Unlimited, but as you can see, these have really nice sprayed edges, and they were only a £5, so had to pick them up. And when you do this, they make a scene together, so it's nice that the sprayed edges go with the rest of the set. It's not just, you know, the sprayed edges on one with the one book and it doesn't have any relation to the rest of them. So with these, I've actually read Face Off already. I bought it and read it before doing this video, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the banter between the two main characters, and I really liked that the woman, the FMC in the book, was actually a sports player herself, so she was an ice hockey player as well. and she gets moved to play on a men's team. I don't know if that happens normally in ice hockey, but I really enjoyed the premise. It was a great book. Next we have Us Dark Few, and I've seen some people say this is a really dark book. It's like Divergent, but if it were darker and set in a prison, and that really calls to me. I loved Divergent as a teenager. I loved the film. I read all of the books, and I picked this up in an independent bookshop as well. It was just there. It is on Kindle Unlimited if you want to read it and you have Kindle Unlimited and you don't want to buy the paperback. It is on Kindle Unlimited, but I wanted to support the bookshop and the author by buying a physical copy because I haven't seen it anywhere else. I'm sure it's in Waterstones, but when I've looked in other bookshops I've not seen it, so I just wanted to pick it up, and I really liked the sound of the book. I believe the FMC is in prison and the MMC is the prison guard, and there's something in this world where I don't think the humans are on Earth. I think they're either in space or something, so it just sounded really, really cool, and I think the second one's just been released, so definitely check that out. Now we have Uncharmed, and I'm so excited to read this. I read the first one in the series, which is called Rewitched on the Library, and it was just so cute and cozy. But this, I saw the white cat and I had to have it because I love cats. And yeah, this was £5. I think it came out in June. The sprayed edges on this are so pretty. I'll show you in a second, but I believe all of the kind of books in this series by Lucy Jane Wood are going to be about witches. So in the first book we met a witch who was kind of in touch with her powers, but not really. She hadn't been practicing, she hadn't been brought up in the traditional like coven sense. And this one I think has more to do with the bakery, but please, yeah, it's to do with the bakery. Please stop it if you want to have a read. But oh, look at this cat on the sprayed edge, I love it. And yeah, I just love anything kind of like cozy, fantasy, like witches, anything like that. I really enjoy, and it's just all the cute like cozy vibes. I might save this for kind of September time. Here we have Seek the Traitor's Son by Veronica Roth, who's the author of the Divergent books that I mentioned previously. So it seems that this is what I would call a romantasy maybe. It says, the daughter of a bounty hunter, the knights want to protect her, so I think there's some kind of romance between the two. And I'm not sure if this is classed as YA or adult, because I think Divergent was technically YA, but I'm not sure if this is, I think it might be adult rather than YA, but here we go. Here's the blurb if you want to pause and have a read. But can we take a moment to appreciate these sprayed edges? I love the colours on these sprayed edges, and I think it's just really well done. I picked this up in Asda. I'd been in a bookshop and it was £22. On the way home I popped into Asda and this I think was £10.98, so under half price, and I thought why not. The sprayed edges are really nice. It was the only sprayed edge book I could see in Asda, so I thought let's just have it. Next we have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. So this is a collector's copy of the book. Here are the lovely end papers. Here's the blurb if you don't know what it's about, but I've actually read this one before I filmed this video, and it's about a girl and it flicks between now and the past is about her summers growing up as a teenager with her parents having bought this lake house in Canada, and there are some teenage boys next door, and it's just her friendship with them and what happens. Here's the lovely naked, is that what you call it? Naked hardback. Here's the other end papers, and just, I wasn't expecting to love this book, but I did. I gave it 5 stars, and I wanted to read it before I started the Amazon TV show, so I think I finished this in about 3 days, which is quite quick for me. I would definitely recommend if you fancied reading it. Next we have A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. This is another kind of gothic academia kind of romance book, and it's actually the US collector's edition. I got this off Vinted and I couldn't get it anywhere else, and luckily someone in the UK was selling this on Vinted, so I got it, and yeah, I am excited to read it. I haven't read it before, but there's a YouTuber that I really like that recommended it, and she said that this one and the second book, so it's a duology, are both really good. So I ordered this, and I've ordered the matching one to go with it from Amazon.com. So I don't know if you know, this isn't sponsored by Amazon, but you can order books from Amazon.com from the UK and it will add the shipping and handling. It hasn't arrived yet, but fingers crossed it is soon. But here's the really, really lovely end pages. Is it M papers or M pages? I keep saying different things. I think it might be M papers and I'm just saying the wrong thing. Here are the really lovely end papers. I love the sprayed edges, how it looks like a library, and here's the blurb if you want to pause and have a read. But it sounded right up my street. I like anything kind of dark and with a bit of romance and that kind of stuff added in. And the book itself, I just loved the design on the hardback itself. I thought that was so pretty. I'm just gonna pop it back in to protect it, but I just wanted to show you that hardback itself. And yeah, I'm super excited to start reading this. I thought it was so pretty. And yeah, let me know if anyone has read this, because I'd love to know what you think. Here we have Wildflower by Becky Jenkinson. I bought this along with The Eights by Joanna Miller from an independent bookshop. The Eights is about 4 girls who start studying at Oxford shortly after they first start admitting female students. I'm not sure if it's the first 4 ever, supposed to be the first 4 ever female students admitted, but it's set in that time, and I just thought it sounded really interesting, and I wanted to see what that was like for them being women at Oxford. Now this is Wildflower, and I just love these sprayed edges. I love gardening and flowers, so this really caught my eye in the bookshop that I was in. Here's the blurb if you would like to read it, but it sounds like it's a romantasy with a florist as the FMC, and that just really caught my attention. It sounds like there's a bit of kind of mystery potentially, or whodunit, so I just really wanted to pick this up and support the independent bookshop that I was at along with The Eights. I think they're just both really pretty books. It was hard to leave them there when they looked so good on the shelves. The next book I bought in the same independent bookshop, and this is The Pomegranate Gate by Ariel Kaplan. I think the FMC in this book has been cursed, whereby she can't shout, she can only talk at a normal level, and I'm just going to read the beginning bit of the blurb for you. So it says, Toba Perez can speak but she can't shout, she can walk but she can't run, and she can write in 5 languages with both hands at the same time. Now I think that sounds really, really interesting. A YouTuber that I watch a lot recommended this book, and I think that was Becca Reads. She said it's a great series. I think she's read the first and the second one, and the third one's about to come out, and just really wanted to pick it up because it sounded like a really interesting premise, and again, support a small independent bookshop. So that was one of my purchases. So that was everything I bought recently, and we've come to the end of my book haul. It's safe to say I will be putting myself on a book buying ban, but please let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought. Thanks very much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe for more content.